shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission. Declared in force March 11, 1991. Article 25. Section 1. No female citizen of the United States shall be allowed to serve in any elected or appointed office, to participate in any capacity, official or unofficial, in the scholarly or scientific professions, to hold employment outside the home without the written permission of her husband, or, should she be unmarried, a responsible male related by blood or appointed her guardian by law, or to exercise control over money or other property or assets without such written permission. Section 2. The natural limitations of women being a clear and present danger to the national welfare, when not constrained by the careful and constant supervision of a responsible male citizen. All citizens of the United States of the female gender shall be deemed legally minors, regardless of their chronological age, except that they shall be tried as adults in courts of law if they are 18 years of age or older. Section 3. Inasmuch as the aforementioned natural limitations of women are inherent, such that no blame accrues to them thereby, nothing in this article shall be construed to allow the mistreatment or abuse of women. Section 4. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Section 5. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission. Declared in force March 11, 1991. Summer, 2205. There were only 8 of them at the meeting. Not the best of numbers. Not only was 8 a very small number to accomplish business efficiently, it was an even number, which meant that in case of a tie, they'd have to give Thomas Blair Chorniak an extra vote. And he always hated that. It smacked of an elitism that was completely contrary to the philosophy of the lines. Paul John Chorniak was there, still putting in his oar at 94, when Thomas ought to have been able to proceed without the old man's interference. Aaron was there. He had to be, given the final item on their agenda, which concerned him directly. They'd managed to scare up 2 of the senior men by comset, so that the faces of James Nathan Chorniak and of Thomas's brother-in-law Giles were there with them in blurry irritation, after a fashion. Adam was there, only 2 years younger than Thomas, and quite properly part of the group. Thomas relied on his brother for many things, not the least of them being his skill at deflecting their father's digressions and convincing Paul John that his words had been attended to. Kenneth was there, because, not being a linguist, he could always get away from whatever he was doing to come to meetings. Jason was there because the negotiation he was involved in was hopelessly stalled on a technicality about which he could do nothing, leaving him marking time until the State Department could straighten it out. Either of the last 2 could have solved the problem of the even number by courteously excusing himself, but neither one would do it. It was Jason's opinion that since Kenneth was only a son-in-law, and not even a member of the lines by birth, it was his place to take himself off to whatever it was he ought to be doing instead of butting in here. And it was Kenneth's opinion that he had as much right in the meeting as Jason had. He hadn't given up his birth name and taken Mary Sarah Chorniak's name for his own for nothing. He was Chorniak now, as much as any of them, and he knew very well that one of the things he had to do was underline that fact firmly, at every opportunity, or the other junior men would bury him at the bottom of the pecking order. He wasn't about to leave. It was awkward, and Thomas briefly considered asking James Nathan to drop out, but they'd woken him up for this, and he hadn't been happy about it. He'd been up all the previous night and well past breakfast time interpreting in one of the third colony crises, of which there seemed to be an inexhaustible supply, and he'd been obviously exhausted. Now they had him awake, it would be less than tactful to suggest that he go back to bed. Sorry to bother you.